Right. All right. So what we're going to talk today about is how to deal with all what's going on in the news, the war, and all the stress that we feel. And what do we do about it? How to improve the quality of our energy, of our chi, in times of turmoil. And so this is what we're talking about today. And this is the Chi Talk. My name is Eli Cohen. I'm a medical Qigong practitioner and energy healing coach. I'm very excited to share wisdom from the Tao and from mindfulness practices, energy practices of how to improve our life, how to heal, to self-heal, using tools that are very ancient, that have been around for thousands of years. Chinese medicine is probably the most advanced and ancient form of medicine on the planet. And really excited to share this with you. So thank you again for joining me. And let's start with just a little bit of meditation, like we always start, like a little opening ceremony, a moment of mindfulness, if you will. Allow yourself to sit comfortably on the chair. Hi, Peter. Hi, Marty. Hi, Claudia. Good to see you. So let's start with a little bit of a mindfulness practice, if you will. Allow yourself to close your eyes and go inwardly. And when you go inwardly, what area of the body you go in first? That's kind of interesting, right? Where does our mind land first? Does it land on the breath? Does it land on the feet? Does it land on the heart center? Just a way to tell us, where is your energy? Where is our energy right now? And allow yourself to have some deeper breath when you exhale from the mouth. So inhale from the nose and stay within this first area that you notice that your mind goes to. Take a deep breath into this area and exhale from the mouth. And each breath in, visualize it is a breath of water, of like you just irrigating or watering a garden inside of you. So when the breath comes in, it's almost like you're irrigating a beautiful garden inside of you. And look into the garden inside of you. And appreciate the energy inside of you. Yeah, with each breath, you putting more water, you are nourishing the garden. And when you exhale, you take stress out. Allow yourself to also notice where you hold tension in the body and soften areas of tension. So whether it be the shoulders, the hips, soften the face, the belly, the hips, and scan from that place that we focused on the beginning. We're opening to kind of receive the aliveness of the whole body while we are focusing on releasing stress and tension, muscular tension. From the eyes, from the face, from the feet, from the belly. Make sure you go into every small little area in the body. The fingers, the elbows, Soften. Let's do some grounding, ground your energy, acknowledge the earth beneath you. And from that place that you focused your energy first on, the first step, first attention that you went into when I told you, go into your body, ground that area, which means that you go into this area and visualize like a continuation of that energy that goes all the way to the depth of the earth from that area. So you can imagine like a pipe or a roots of a tree or a column of light, whatever soothes your imagination. And you just visualize that area being grounded, not only to the floor, but to the depth of the earth, like 10 or 20 feet down, maybe even deeper. And exhale to that place inside of the earth. So it's almost like you're exhaling from that place that you focus on your body to the depth of the earth. And then inhale from that area up to this area in your body. Inhale from the earth into this area of your body. Let the breath be calm and deep and slow and relaxing. Let's bring our attention to the center of your brain. And from the center of your brain, opening your eyes. Nice. Beautiful. Such a short little moment of mindfulness, just a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. So nice to connect with our body, to release stress and tension like that. So there's a lot of things happening, and last talk, or I think 2 talks before, a lot of us are still processing all this stuff that is going on in the news and this war, and there's people feel stress and anxiety and fear and just upset. I think anger is a lot of the emotion that comes a lot to a lot of us. And so what is the best way to deal with it, and how to look at it, and how the Tao is looking at things like that. So I just kind of wanted to share a little bit, a piece of wisdom, and also open it to a conversation, if you like. And so from the Tao perspective, it's very interesting. It's in a lot of time in Western tradition, there's always the good and the bad, and there's a fight. Also in Christianity, I think there's the devil or the demons and the angel. There's a lot of fight between evil and good, and a good and bad, and there's always a war. And this is what our culture, Western culture, is all about. And if you look at the Western, and also in movies, Hollywoodian movies, there's a good and the bad, there's a fight, and then the good is winning, and and there's always that. If you look at all the movies out there, Western movies, and in Taoist tradition, there's no good and bad. There's yin and yang. So there's no we don't give a label to this or that. So we always say that they need to be balanced between yin and yang. And yin and yang are always transforming into each other. There's a transformation. In Buddhist tradition, we also know that a lot of what we feel, like when we feel negative energy, in Buddhist tradition, we always talk about this is a misconception. This is a wrong. This is a way that we don't look at the whole reality as one. We're having a little bit of a very small window into reality, and because of that, this is why we have suffering. This is we don't see the totality of reality, and that misunderstanding creates agitation, creates stress. So there's different philosophies from the East, like Buddhist and Taoist, and there's of course what we were a Western culture that sees things very differently. So from a Taoist perspective, there's always going to be yin and yang. There's always going to be a storm, and after the storm, the flowers are gonna, because of the rain, the flowers gonna come out. And so there's always a time of tense, of war, and then there's a time of peace. There's, in our emotional energy, there's a anger, and then peace, and then sadness, and so this is the flow of energy. This is how energy flows, and it always flows between yin and yang, in a positive way, in a negative way. It always flows like that, and there's no this is how it goes. And the reason why we are stressed, or we are we don't let the energy flow. So whenever the transformation is happening naturally, you can look at kids and how they react to to life. When something is bad is happening, or they feel fear or anxious, they cry and they upset, and they express it out. They transform the energy pretty quickly, and all of a sudden they smile and they laugh, right after. So there's this energy of catharsis. They let they transmute this energy, transform the energy, and it able to transform and change it back into happiness, into a state of calm. So we are not acting like that. A lot of times we don't like to feel negative energy on the immediate level, on the how do you say it, and on the like our tendency is to immediately react. We were very reactive. We cannot think, okay, I shouldn't respond to it that way. It doesn't work. The body responds in a nanoseconds to triggers. Like, we hear something, we get exposed to a vision, to a sound, and we react in a nanosecond. We react to it. We cannot say, okay, well, I shouldn't be upset, or well, I shouldn't be afraid from the sound that I just heard. It just happened. We are very reactive. So it's nice to understand, okay, I need to transform that energy. There's a way to relate to that energy. But on the body level, we react really quickly. And the question comes is, how do we undo that, or how do we improve, or how do we fortify? And this is how do we fortify ourselves and our chi, and we stay in a very good state for how we become stronger, how we become more resilient, and not so like a leaf in the wind, everything that comes. Because you look at the news, yesterday was the coronavirus, you look at the news today, there's a war in Russia, and if you look in the future, there'll be other events coming up. The events are just about to come up. So that it's always there. It's like, what do you do about it? And how do we choose to respond to it? And how do we deal with this immediate reaction of our body? And everybody reacts differently than others. Some people are more susceptible to these things. Some people are not. This is why, if you look in Buddhist tradition, Taoist tradition, we look, and what we see is that the body responds really quickly. So you hear a sound, maybe you see a vision of a beautiful water, Caribbean islands, and you feel, oh, I feel really good. I feel I want to go on vacation. And you see the Russian, the Putin, and you get very upset. So just the image can trigger, even you don't need to read an article. So the body responds on a very immediate level, immediately. So this is why we say the first step is to come into the body. The first step to unroot the problem, the issue, is the body. The body is the first place to get healing from. So really, the teaching is to come inwardly, to actually feel, to be first of all more aware of how you feel. Working with the breath, working with a physical body, working with movement, and really at this level, what I think helped me the most is always in a time of like stress like that, in times of maybe depression, maybe you don't feel like doing, is to look at you from above. What does that mean? So you getting out of your of your psyche. This is my thing. So you're getting out and you're looking at yourself, and you're looking is like, what is going to be the best thing now for Eli to do? So to look at you as a third person and to ask yourself, forget it. You're not going to, sometimes you are not going to do things like that. You're going to just keep with your own routine. Because if you have the own routine to go a certain way, you're just going to do it. You have to exit your psyche and tell him, okay, I'm looking now at Eli, and what does he need? So almost like you being the teacher of yourself, and you forcing yourself to do something that the parent you tell your child self to do. And the best thing to do is to engage with the breathing practice, with movement, with physical activity, with qigong, with yoga, whatever but work with the body is the first step to self-soothe and to self-help. Like what we did in this meditation, that was like 5 minutes. Imagine you doing it for half an hour, and so this is the first level. The first level is actually working with the body, because the body is the first responders to stressors. And when you work with the body more consciously over time, again and again daily, you become more aware. You develop more sensitivity to energy, to these triggers, because you feel them. And when we feel them, we can release them. So we used to resist, how we resist not feeling good. Not like we're feeling anger, we don't want to feel it. We're feeling depression, we don't want to feel it, is by you doing it unconsciously, but you're not feeling the body. You're thinking, you're going into the brain, you're processing things. When you're feeling, and then you change it, you transform it. So really the idea in terms of like Taoist teaching and Qigong teaching is how to transform it. So first be aware, cultivate more self-awareness, and that comes with energy practice, with practicing breath, Qigong, sensitivity to your energy, to your body, just body. And then after that, you become more sensitive to it. And after that, it's very easy to transform it, to transmute it. It's very easy to do it. So that would be the first step. That would be the first step. The first step would be to work with the body. And that by itself is a lot. There's a lot there in terms of like how to meditate, how to breathe, how to move in a way that release energy from the heart, release energy from the liver. So that's why we have our Qigong. We have our Qigong for the heart, for the liver. We have this different seasons, different classes that we're doing. And now we're switching to the spring. So it's going to be more about liver. So if you think about what in emotional agitation, there's two organs that are very important to deal with: the heart and the liver. These are the only two organs in Chinese medicine that are participating in emotional agitation. So when you are emotional agitated, the two organs that get beaten up is the heart and the liver. So the liver would be how we release stress. A lot of, So emotional agitation sees as toxins. The liver get out toxins from the body, physical toxins and emotional toxins. So these are the only two organs that are participating, but it's a cascading event, right? Because whenever we feel stress, whenever we feel agitation, the two organs as the first responders, but what happens to the breath? It's the second thing that happens, and the breath get compromised, and then the lungs sink. And then so it's a cascading event, And then the kidney doesn't get the qi because the lung bring the qi to the kidney. And then so if you're breathing very shallowly, now the kidney doesn't have the qi. And so you see how it's becoming So first, work with the body. That's very, very important to understand in an event like that. And then second, understand that this is all temporary. This is all part of how energy moves in the universe. And whenever you take on that energy, the stress, the agitation, you take that in. And how can we be so understand on the energetic level, from the psyche, from our Shen, from our working with mind, that's called Shen Gong, is to understand the principles of energy. There's no good and bad. Things are happening. A lot of people die. That's not good. We don't like it. But the way to connect with it from a Shen Gong practice is to think about, okay, I'm very angry. Why am I angry? And then the origin of the anger is actually the way you release it, from a Shen Gong practice, from a psychic practice, from a consciousness practice. So meaning, I'm very angry right now because of the war. Why does the anger come from? So you go to the intention. So that's working with the mind. So working with the mind would be secondary or third to working with the body. I just wanted to say it. Working with the body is the first, is the most important. But working with the mind is to go back to the intention. So your intention is for love, for peace. That's why you're angry, because it's being violated, right? You go back to the intention, the good intention behind the negative emotion. The good intent, usually like for anger, is that. For depression, it's usually connection, lack of connection. So if you go to the good intention behind emotion, if you go to the intention behind sadness, is actually missing love, not getting love, usually. So it's very easy to see on the chart of the the 5 organs. You go 2 organs back and you see what is the emotion that that in the base of the negative emotion. So sadness in the lung, you go 2 back, is the heart, is love, connection and love will heal sadness and depression. So that's kind of on the more you're not going to go to the chart and see it, but you can actually check with yourself, like, why am I feeling like that? what is the good intention behind my negative emotion. So that's more like from a Shengong practice. Yeah, so this is kind of like a I really encourage you to actually look at yourself, talk to your parent self, and get yourself to do the things that are good for you. Like what's good for Eli right now? What's good? If I want to go and do some breathing practice, meditation, movement practice, I'm going to see friends, that would be good for me. Or not look at the news a lot. The news are always going to be, there's always going to be something else. And it's never going to be good. Have you ever seen good news? No, they're not going to sell. Why they're not going to sell? Because we are geared towards negative. It's going to sell because we are a survival people, species. We are going to pay attention only to fear-based news because we want to protect ourselves. So, okay, what do we? So news is always going to be triggering that fear response in order to sell. So you're never going to hear, oh, there's we saved that forest in Colombia because now there's people and they cleaned the this and they did good things. Nobody cares about that. But it's too bad. But this is the truth. This is why it's time to maybe not look at the news so much. All right, so a few minutes just to open it to a conversation. I talked a lot, and there's probably a lot of you guys thinking that you want to say something or ask a question, or you think that something is not clear or wrong with what I said. So please, anybody wants to say something about that?
Eli,
Everybody's agreeing to everything I said.
can you hear
Marty,
me?
go ahead.
Well, I just think that
Oh,
this is,
hold on. Let me turn on the volume. I think my volume is down. Okay, yeah. Go ahead.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
This is a very interesting time for all of us because we are watching a war from afar on a daily basis, and it's bringing up a lot of emotions, the sadness, the frustration, the fear, and learning to deal with it. You know, we just went through the COVID cycle, and now we're into a new cycle of life, and how really to deal with that, and how to departmentalize everything so that you can live your life day to day and not live in that fear. And as much as I hear everybody saying, "Oh, don't watch the news," I think it's important that we're informed as to really what's going on in the world. You know, a lot of my
Yeah,
friends will not watch the news, and I'm saying you need to know what's going on.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. We do need to know what's going on in the world and get informed, of course. There's so many things are happening in the world, though, in different corners of the world. There's a war happening in the Ukraine, but there's other things happening in Bangladesh, and there's other things that are happening in India or in Brazil. And it's interesting that one of my teachers, past teachers, is always he posted on Facebook like, what about the war in Yemen? What about the war in this and in Libya? Do you know what's going on in Libya? Why do we not hear anything about Libya? Why we don't hear about? I know how many people are dying in Yemen right now, and and things like that. It's interesting. It's like, where do you put your attention, and where the world media is focusing on, and what do you want to focus on? We can always it's true, it's very upsetting. It's really in your face. It's all the news, and everybody's encompassing in what's going on 7,000 miles from here. And usually it's really hard to know what's going on, and there's all these fake news that is happening, that everybody's producing. And being an Israeli, it's very interesting because I used to live in Israel and there's the Palestinian conflict there. And when I came to the US, I met with some people that have very strong opinions about the Palestinians and the Israelis and what should be done. And they like brought me all kinds of facts that they saw on TV. And I was like, wow, this is so skewed about what's going on. I was in the army, I was actually there. And a lot of stuff that you see on TV is very, very different from what happening in real life. You know, I came across of people like Americans that didn't want to even speak to me because I'm Israeli and I'm an occupier, while I have a lot of Palestinians friends here in the Bay Area that are, so it's very interesting how we I think it's problematic. Yes, you want to get informed, but you want to get informed of what, I want to get informed of what's going on inside of me first. Yeah. So yeah, Gail, go ahead.
Thank you, Ellie. I'm a little late in coming in, but first of all, I want to thank Pete for being here because, quite honestly, Pete, when you shared quite some time ago, I was concerned about you, and I'm very moved to see your face, sweetheart. You bless your heart for being here. Okay, I just want to share from my perspective because what is happening in the world is also happening in our inner world, which is why it's so important, Ellie, for you to be speaking to the areas that you are knowledgeable about. I will share 3 things that I am dealing with right now, which has taken me down. And I am a basically very uplifting person. And we have lived through a time of creation and maintenance, but we have never lived, this generation has never lived through a time of destruction. And this is a time of destruction. So it's not what happens to you, it's how do you respond and what motivates you. Number 1, my husband, who's a computer expert, called Amazon and accessed someone who infiltrated all of our financials and drained us dry. And so we're in the process of changing our finances. That hit us where we live. And so it's a matter of educating people on how to combat scams. That's number 1. Number 2, the body talks to you, through you, about you, which is why it's important to do, yes, your exercises. And this is helping my kidneys, this is helping my liver, this is helping me survive, and most of all, opening my heart. So when I went to Kaiser, I realized that what I'm looking at, the dire aspects of what is in the world and in my world, has affected my eyes, and I had to have both eyes operated on. That was a shock. Anybody that knows Louise Hay's work knows that the body talks to you, through you, about you. You know that, Ellie, because you address it. So you know that what's going on with us is affecting all of our organs. But we also have the opportunity to regenerate by sleep, by good activity. We can regenerate ourselves, and we need each other. And we need each other to educate each other, because I don't know what you know. I don't know what Pete knows. I don't know what Marty knows. And Fred always has a very uplifting aspect as to what he shares and what affects him. So we are a synergy. We are more than one part. And that's important. I need you. I need Pete. I need Marty, I need Fred, I would name everybody here. I need you because I now am depressed. And what's depression? Anger you feel you don't have a right to have. And I'm pissed. But what do I do with the anger? It has to be a motivating factor. A, for health, and B, for education. And so those are my 2 cents.
Thank you, Gail. That's a lot. Thank you so much. And it's really come down to, how what do we put where our attention? You know, it happens a lot in COVID times when people are really glued to the TV and heard about. But if you look outside and you just walk a little bit in nature and you look and you're trying to see some birds and trying to see the birds singing and you're trying to see what's going on around you, nature continues and it's so beautiful. And it's really, sometimes it's where do you put your attention? I can put it on Ukraine, I can put it on coronavirus, and I can, and the thing is that if you put your attention long enough in your body and really listen, you'll regain a place of calm, of vitality, of energy, because your pure energy center is peace, love, and harmony. And you are what you look at. When you look into the sky, you become the sky. When you look into the earth, when you look into the ocean, you become the ocean. When you look into a war, you bring the war inside of you. And this is what we talk about, absorbing energy from nature, like few talks ago, few talks before. Where do you look? You have a mirror, you reflect it inside of you. And we can choose where our attention goes. And you know, you want to know what's going on in Ukraine? Go ahead. Why don't you see what's going on in this small village in Spain instead, or outside your door? It's what brings you. If we become the messengers of light, if we become the messengers, if we want to bring peace into the world, we cannot bring peace into the world if we are not peaceful. Putin didn't start a war because he was peaceful, because he was very agitated. And and because he has a lot of powers, agitation, and now the agitation, everybody gets it. But if we want to bring goodness and peace and love, we have to generate it from the inside. And how we generate it from the inside, if all the attention we put is to look into something that is agitating, because the news wants you to look there. So it's good to get informed of what's going on in a specific dot in the world, but you know, it's up to you to know what's good for you, what's healing for you. Healing is and what brings you peace, what brings you healing, and it's not to put your attention there. So this is kind of like and it's really hard to and when I talk about the Tao, and there's no good and bad, and you know, destruction brings new orders, and there's always destruction. Things are always in flow, always in flux, and that's this is the energy. This is how energy goes, as if we accept it or not. And and that's the beauty of the energy of the universe. This is the beauty with all the sadness, and with sadness come love. The deepest sadness I felt immense love at the same time. Yeah, when my mother died. But so your heart opens, and when we feel, sometimes we need that. So it's interesting, and it's just the kind of like the paradox of life, or the conflict inside of us. But you are what you're looking at, what you decide to put your attention to. And if you want to be a messenger of light, messenger of love, of peace, you've got to you have to do that. And otherwise, you know, the people that starting wars, they're not peaceful. They have a lot of agitation inside of them. And in Buddhist tradition, we say we should feel compassion towards these people. Compassion towards this immense agitation inside of these people, because they suffer so much. So it's interesting. I knew that this is going to be a very volatile, strong topic. And Gail, thank you so much for bringing that spice into our talk, because this is good stuff, and this is this is what we need to do. And I usually don't like to bring topics like that if, political and stuff like that, but this is life, and this is good to talk about things like that. I feel. So I think we should close it here, unless somebody wants to say something very important.
I just would like to acknowledge Gail for sharing such a personal account of what you're going through. I would love to be available to you. I don't know how to do that, but I really feel you.
Thank you so much, Claudia. That was beautiful. And Gail, I do too. That's the first thing I should have said. And I feel that, and thank you for sharing from the bottom of your heart, and it really transformed this talk for all of us. So yeah, and a place of vulnerability and hurt and sadness brings us into the greatest opening of love and compassion, and compassion to self, and that's what heals. And that's what heals. That energy behind the agitation is the energy that can heal us if we are open to it. So thank you, Claudia, for mentioning that. Gail, thank you so much for coming and sharing so openly. And yeah, and thank you, Peter, for being here. Edward, did you want to say anything? You're in your head.
Yes, I did. And thank you, Gail and Claudia and Ellie and everybody. And what I want to say is, I was with my son, well, the whole weekend, but Friday night, we're in the car and we're talking about this. And he said to me, Dad, your word creates your world. You brought me up with that. Say it, and say it positively. And Putin will be gone. And out of this, Europe will not have another war. NATO will not be involved. Bless the Ukrainian people. We will do everything to get them back to normal. And this morning, I woke up and Zelensky said to the Russian troops, please come to us, surrender to us, we'll treat you better than Putin is treating you. And 3 generals were killed in Ukraine. And I also heard the other day that a few generals are gone in Russia, that, Putin got rid of him. And this too shall pass, but it's accent the positive. And out of everything, as my mother would say, if Edward's unhappy, we all better get very unhappy. Something's really wrong. But I've always pulled the positive. So Gail, just keep saying, my eyes are healthy, cured, and wonderful. So others, I can be there for others, because you're there for all of us, in what you said. And when a doctor says, oh, you have this, I go, I don't have that. And I don't have that, So keep your word. Meditate on your word of healing everything that has to heal. Your funds will be back. Your eyes will be perfect. And accent the positive. It really works. Eliminate the negative.
And really, let's expose ourselves. Let's choose to put attention into something that heals us and not create more internal agitation. So thank you so much, everybody. This was, I hate to stop it here because there's so much, but we'd have to close it. And let's continue. Let's take this last kind of closing ceremony into a healing meditation, if you will, if you allow yourself. So just allow yourself to come into the body again. And let's do a group meditation where we send healing energy to Gail today, if you are open to that. Or you can just choose to do your own self-healing. Otherwise, we'd like to kind of devote this to Gail and to her own healing. So as you are closing your eyes, you feel your body and soften the body as you sit here now. Soften the shoulders, the face, the belly. And find again the place of the earth beneath you. Think about this huge space beneath you, the big earth. It's really vast and big. It has so much potential, so much energy. Let's see if you can go we're gonna kind of start where we ended, where we breathe the earth up. So we put our attention down into the earth and we take the breath up from the earth into our body and exhale back down to the earth, into a very deep spot in the earth. So every time we do healing for ourselves or somebody else, we first ground our energy. So our mind is clear and we're accessing a more intuitive place in ourselves, a more connected place in ourselves. So let's do this earth breathing together. And bring that the force from the earth up to your lungs and heart. And let's come and reside in the heart energy. You can put your hands on the heart, or you can just feel the center of your heart as you sit here now. And as we feel the heart energy, we access the energy from the heavens. So that's the energy above us. So open your attention to the whole sky. And from that vastness of the sky energy, of miracle healing, open your hands to face each other right in front of your heart or belly. So it'll be creating a little chi ball together. And in that chi ball, you can place Gail, our friend, our wise friend, our loving friend. You just see her in this ball of energy. Her whole body, her eyes, her face, her body, and feel your heart intention for love, for peace, for healing, for her. And as you look at her in this energy ball, you can smile to her. And again, if you'd like to put yourself, if you like to do self-healing, that's fine too. And smile to her and connect with her in a positive way. So see a smile back until you see a smile back. It's very easy to get a smile back from a person that you're smiling to. And as you open the palms a little bit, You open your attention to the whole universe and connect with all the power of the earth, the ocean, the sky. And when you bring the palms closer together, a little closer, you send healing energy. The healing energy penetrates the body, the mind, and brings the body back into harmony. So opening, connecting, expanding the mind while you're expanding the hands, connecting with the light. And when you bring the palm closer together, you're emitting the light into her. And see her healing. With each stroke like this, there's more rejuvenation, repair happening, and bring her back into wholeness. So as you open to the wholeness of the universe. And as you close, you bring the wholeness of her. So see her already healed, in line with the energy of the oceans, the trees, the mountains, all that abundance of energy. Strong, vital, full of life force, completely healed and healthy. Vibrant, happy, full of zest of life, having a total understanding of how to bring that universal energy into her. So she's a reflection, a mirror of the vitality all around her. Very much so. See it right now. And smile to her. Let's hold the energy here between our palm for a few more seconds. And last smile. Nice. Let's relax our hands down. Bring our attention to the center of the brain. And from the center of the brain, opening the eyes. Thank you so much. Gail, thank you. I didn't ask your permission for that, but but I hope you enjoyed it. And this is powerful stuff. And so we can do it to ourselves, we can do it to another person. This is a very beautiful medical Qigong practice called Lachi or Fachi. Thank you guys for joining me. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Peter, everybody. You know, just see where you decide to put your attention on today. Maybe you can change it after this conversation. All right. Thank you guys again. And I'll see you next week. Bye.